Two people. One invested a third as much money as the other and still retired with more. The only difference between them was a 10-year head start. This is the idea that quietly builds almost every fortune. Not lottery wins, not gambling on the next hot stock. This. It's called compound interest. And here's the strange part. Almost everyone has heard the phrase, and almost nobody truly understands how powerful it is, or how to actually put it to work. Most people drastically underestimate it because it does very little for a very long time, and then it does something that looks almost impossible. So let's build it from the ground up. No jargon, no hype, until you can see exactly how small, ordinary amounts of money turn into real wealth. This is Greenprint, where we explain money so it finally makes sense. No hype, no jargon, just the blueprint. One honest note before we go further. This is education, not financial advice. Every number you'll see today is a historical or illustrative example, not a promise. Markets go down as well as up. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the difference between two words, simple interest and compound interest. Say you put $1,000 somewhere that pays you 10% a year. With simple interest, you earn $100 every year. Year 1, 100. Year 2, another 100. Flat, predictable, forever. Compound interest does something sneakier. In year 1, you earn your $100, but now you have $1,100. So in year 2, you earn 10% on that, which is 110, not 100. Now you've got 1,210. Year 3, you earn on that. You're no longer just earning on your money. You're earning on your money plus all the earnings it has already produced. Growth, stacked on top of growth. That tiny shift, earning returns on your returns, is the entire engine. And over a long enough time, it becomes staggering. The best way to picture it is a snowball rolling down a long hill. At the top, it's tiny. You give it a push and almost nothing happens. It inches along. It picks up a thin layer of snow. For a long time, it feels pointless, like it's barely moving at all. But here's the thing about a snowball. The bigger it gets, the more surface it has, so the more snow it grabs with every single turn. It doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows faster and faster the longer it rolls. Your money behaves exactly the same way. The returns are small at first because the pile is small, but every year the pile is bigger, so every year's growth is bigger than the last. And this is the trap most people fall into. They look at the first few years, see almost nothing happening, decide it isn't working, and they stop. They walk away from the hill right before the snowball would have become unstoppable. Let's put real numbers on it. Say you invest $200 a month. That's it. The price of a few dinners out you probably won't remember. We'll assume a 7% average annual return. I'm using 7% deliberately because it's conservative. The U.S. stock market has historically averaged around 10% a year before inflation, and closer to 7% after inflation eats its share. Using the lower, honest number keeps our expectations grounded. You invest that $200 a month, quietly, for 40 years. Over those 40 years, the total amount of your own money you put in is $96,000. So, how much do you think you'd have at the end? Around $525,000. You contributed $96,000. The other $430,000? That wasn't you. That was compound interest, working in the background on money you'd already forgotten you invested. Now here's the part that genuinely rewires how people think about money. Compound growth is not spread out evenly. It is massively backloaded. Almost all of it happens at the end. Let me show you with a simple lump sum. Put $10,000 in at 7% and leave it alone. After the first 20 years, it grows to a little under $39,000. Not bad, it roughly tripled. But over the second 20 years, that same $10,000 climbs from $39,000 to about $150,000. Think about that. The first half of the journey added around $29,000. The second half added over $110,000, nearly 4 times as much from the exact same starting deposit. The money didn't work harder in the second half. It simply had more time to compound on a bigger base. Which means the single most valuable ingredient in this entire equation isn't money, it's time. And that leads to the most important lesson in this whole video. Before we get to that lesson, let me give you a tool you can use for the rest of your life. It's called the Rule of 72, and it lets you do compound interest in your head. Here's how it works. Take the number 72 and divide it by your annual return. The answer is roughly how many years it takes your money to double. At 7%, 72 divided by 7 is about 10. So your money doubles roughly every 10 years. Watch what that does over a lifetime. Start with $10,000 at 25. By 35, it's 20,000. By 45, 40,000. By 55, 80,000. By 65, 160,000. Notice something? Each doubling adds more than all the doublings before it combined. Going from 80 to 160,000, that single step near the end adds $80,000. The first 3 doublings, over 30 years, only added 70. The biggest, most dramatic growth always happens in the final stretch, the stretch most people never reach. So let's meet 2 people. This is the most important comparison you'll see today. The first we'll call Emma. Emma starts investing at 25. She puts in $300 a month, but only for 10 years. At 35, life gets busy, she stops completely, and never adds another dollar. She just leaves what she has to grow until she's 65. In total, Emma invested $36,000 of her own money. The second person we'll call Liam. Liam waits. He starts at 35, right when Emma stops, and he's more disciplined than she ever was. He invests the same $300 a month, but he keeps going for 30 straight years, all the way to 65. Liam puts in $108,000, 3 times as much money as Emma, over 3 times as many years. Same 7% return for both. So who ends up with more? Emma does. Emma, who invested $36,000, retires with about $395,000. Liam, who invested $108,000, retires with about $366,000. Emma put in a third of the money and still came out ahead, purely because her money had a 10-year head start to compound. That is the whole game. Starting early is worth more than starting big. It is the closest thing to a cheat code that personal finance has. Now, I promised you honesty, so let's talk about the forces working against your snowball. Because compound interest has enemies, and the first one is inflation. Inflation is the slow rise in the cost of everything over time. Historically, it's averaged around 3% a year in the US. That doesn't sound like much, but compounding cuts both ways. It works against your money's purchasing power just as relentlessly as it works for your balance. This is exactly why leaving all your money in a basic savings account is quietly dangerous. If your savings earns 0.5% while prices rise 3%, you are losing buying power every single year, guaranteed. Your number on the screen goes up, while what it can actually buy goes down. Here's the good news. This is why we used a 7% return earlier instead of 10. That gap already accounts for inflation. So the ending numbers I showed you are, roughly, in today's buying power, not funny money future dollars. I'd rather show you honest numbers than impressive ones. The second enemy is quieter, and it's the one the financial industry would prefer you never do the math on. Fees. Say two people both invest that same $200 a month for 40 years. One earns a full 7%, the other earns 7% too, but pays a 1% yearly fee to have their money managed. So they effectively keep 6. 1%. It sounds like a rounding error. The person earning 7% ends with about $525,000. The person paying that 1% fee ends with about $398,000. That single, tiny-sounding 1% quietly cost them more than $125,000. Not because the market did worse. The market was identical. The fee alone ate a fortune because it was skimmed off the top every year for 40 years, and all the compounding that money would have done went to someone else. We'll do an entire video on how to avoid that trap, but for now, just remember, with compounding, small fees are never small. And there's a third thing you have to understand, because it's the one that hurts people the most. Compound interest doesn't care which direction it runs. The exact same engine that builds wealth for investors builds debt for borrowers. And against you, it runs terrifyingly fast. Think about credit card debt. The average credit card charges an interest rate well over 20% a year. Run the rule of 72 on that. 72 divided by 20 is under 4, which means unpaid credit card debt can double in less than 4 years. So while your investments might quietly double every 10 years working for you, high-interest debt can double every 3 or 4 years working against you. That's why paying off high-interest debt is often the single best investment you can make. Wiping out a 20% debt is a guaranteed 20% return, something no normal investment can promise. Compounding is a tool. It will build you a fortune or bury you. And the only thing that decides which is which side of it you're standing on. So where does this magic actually happen? Because it matters. A regular savings account, like we said, barely keeps up with inflation. That's not where fortunes compound. Historically, the engine has been ownership. Owning pieces of businesses, usually through a broad, diversified basket of stocks, so that no single company can sink you. That's where returns like the ones we've been discussing have historically come from. Two honest cautions, though. First, those returns are averages over decades, not every year. Some years the market falls hard, 20, 30, even 40%. Compounding only rewards the people who stay invested through those drops instead of panic selling at the bottom. Second, Many countries offer tax-advantaged retirement accounts that let your money compound with less drag from taxes. That's a powerful accelerant, though the specific rules vary by where you live, so that's worth a proper look on your own or with a professional. The point isn't a specific product, it's the principle. Put your money somewhere it can actually grow, spread the risk, and then give compounding the one thing it truly needs. Which brings us to how you actually put all of this to work. And after everything we've covered, it comes down to 4 boring, powerful habits. 1. Start now. Not when you earn more, not when it feels convenient, now. You just watched 10 years of delay cost Liam the lead despite investing 3 times as much. Time is the ingredient you can never buy back. 2. Be consistent. Automate a fixed amount every month so the decision happens once, not every payday. Boring and automatic beats motivated and occasional every single time. 3. Leave it alone. Every time you panic sell in a downturn or cash out early, you reset the snowball and hand back your biggest, latest doublings. Time in the market beats timing the market. And 4. Protect it from the enemies. Keep your fees low. Don't let high-interest debt compound against you. And make sure your money is somewhere it can actually outpace inflation. Here's the truth I want you to leave with. Compound interest isn't about being rich or clever or lucky. It rewards the patient far more than the brilliant. The wealthiest version of you isn't the one who finally finds the perfect investment someday. It's the one who started a small, boring snowball as early as possible, and then had the discipline to leave it alone. You don't need a lot of money to begin. You need time, consistency, and the understanding you now have. If this made compound interest finally click, I put together a free 1-page money starter kit, the exact order to put your money to work, and it's linked in the description. And subscribe, because next week we break down exactly where to put this money to keep those fees near zero. This is Greenprint. Money explained so it finally makes sense.